Hey, this is Dave from houseparents.com. So who would ever install a heat pump in the Midwest? Well, we've done that. My brother Rich and I show you how to do a job yourself so you can save a lot of money in the process. And we did just that by installing this Mr. Cool universal heat pump last summer. And, it was a bit of an experiment to see how well this would perform during a Midwest winter. And so today we're going to go through our winter review. So we're going to run through what we did, why we did it, how we did it, and the results. And we'll break that all down for you so you can see how the Mr. Cool universal heat pump worked throughout an entire winter. We've always had gas heat during the winter for the past 20 years, but had the opportunity to put this Mr. Cool universal in. The whole goal was to see if it would replace our gas furnace and not cost us an arm and a leg to use. And so we're gonna lay all the performance aspects out for you so you can get a good idea yourself of what you might be looking at if you tried to go down this very same road. We had already received a quote for our existing system. Our air conditioner condenser died, and so they're gonna just replace the condenser. And so I started looking for better solutions and ran across the Mr. Cool heat pump and decided that I could get this condenser and the interior air handler for a little over half of what they wanted to charge me for just the condenser. And so I thought this would be a good idea to give this a try because I had lots to gain, very little to lose. If you saw our previous video, you saw us install this and it's really DIY friendly. So our plan was to replace the condenser, which we did with this Mr. Cool condenser. And then inside the house, we decided that we would basically do a parallel setup where we left the old gas furnace in its place and put the new Mr. Cool air handler next to it. And then we ran the ducting in such a way as it would go from the new air handler into the old air plenum of the old furnace and then distribute the air through the house. I had to do a couple modifications, but the whole goal was so that we could go ahead and try this as an experiment and basically put it in place just for this year to see if it would actually do the job. The bigger question for us was, how's it going to perform in the wintertime? We did have a couple issues. Having never owned a heat pump before, I wasn't really that aware of, but I learned pretty quickly. Yesterday we got a 11-inch snowfall. One of the times I put my hand by the vent and it was a little on the cool side. So I came out here and all this snow that you see over here is a drift, and it had drifted over to this corner of the air conditioner, and you can see right there this has a defrost mode, and what happens is any ice that accumulates on here, it melts, but this hole about this much right here was covered in snow. And so that's one of the things I guess you have to watch out for, is making sure that in a high snow area that those fins don't get blocked or stay blocked. But it's just something to be aware of with this kind of a setup. One other time we had a smaller snowfall, and there was a lot of snow on here, and then the day after the snowfall it got warm and the water started running down this way, and then that night it got super cold again, and water actually froze the blade solid so it wouldn't move. So one evening I noticed that the air out of the vents was continually cool, and I came out here and basically had to take off this whole grill and put a hair dryer on the arms of the blades of the fan to loosen them up so it would spin again. Just another precaution, not to let a lot of snow accumulate on here and then melt and refreeze. It's something to be aware of. Our coldest temperature, depending on how it was measured, was somewhere between -6 and -9 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's not an unusual temperature for where we are, but it certainly is unusual to rely completely on a heat pump to bring you heat at those cold temperatures. Old heat pumps, just plain and simple, don't do it without a heat strip. And yet this Mr. Cool has an inverter. The beauty of the inverter is that it allows it to run much more efficiently and be able to extract the heat from the environment, even at those below zero temperatures. The other thing we wanted to look at was performance in regards to cost. And so here's the results that we had from December through March. Here in the blue-green, you've got winter of 2019-2020, the 4 months, December through March. And in the gray, we have December 20 through March of 2021. You can look at the average temperature if you add these four together versus the 4 of the year prior. They're very close to the same as far as temperature goes. This February, which shows up in the month of March as far as the bill goes, was really cold. 23 was the stated average temperature from our bill. And so that means that was a pretty big expense, $302 for the electric bill for that month. We're taking the electric and the gas from last year versus the electric and the gas from this year so that all things are similar. And what we ended up with was a total bill of $717 for 2020 and $988 for the bill for winter of 2021. And so the difference there is about $270, and that's probably within what we expected. It's more expensive to run electric than gas, but not dramatically so. And what's going to be interesting is when we look at the performance for the summer air conditioning to see how we do there. And hopefully we make up some of that money because the condensers is much more efficient in summer cooling. Winter heat cost us more. The price of the Mr. Cool and its installation was dramatically less than the quotes that we had, so we're ahead there. And so the last bit we'll have to wait till summer to see how summer turns out. All things considered, without a heat strip, the Mr. Cool heated the house well, without a huge amount increase in cost, and there's still summer to balance a lot of that out. All in all, we're happy with the Mr. Cool performance. But one thing we learned from this, and that is the heat pump, the Mr. Cool heat pump with the inverter is more than capable of heating the house even at below zero temperatures without crazy utility bills compared to where we were a year ago. But for the purposes of this video, we knew that heat costs were going to be more because we were relying only on electricity, but we were hoping that our install setup was going to compensate for that. And then additionally, summer would give us a greater advantage in reducing our cooling costs. Hope this video helps. Be sure and subscribe. We've got lots more videos coming. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.